Good morning, everybody. I'll start by thanking you, Kieran, for that introduction, and thank you, ACAMS, for having me. It's an absolute honor to be here. Also wanted to recognize the award recipients. Fantastic body of work. Great that you all recognize them. And I got to say, I was a little bit worried that, I know you all got up early to get here for the award ceremony. I'm a little bit worried when you saw you were going to hear from the IRS guy next. I was going to see people running for the exit. So I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm going to talk about a couple of topics, cutting edge topics, current trends in financial crimes. It's what we do in our agency. It's the only work that we do. Just a quick, little background on myself. I've been with IRS Criminal Investigation for 27 years. I've spent my entire career and been the chief now for almost a year and a half. And what's kind of unique about me holding this role is in my 27-year career, there have not been many years that the agency's been run by a career law enforcement agent such as myself. So it really gives me unique perspective on what's going on in the agency. I've been to every field office. I've been to almost every office that we have in the United States, know almost every one of our employees. So it really gives me a unique perspective, and I've held most positions in the organization. So it's an honor to run the organization, and again, a thrill for me to be here this morning with you. So Kieran gave a little bit of the background on what we do. We do face some challenges, some resource challenges, and unfortunately, every time somebody reads the bio and talks about running a worldwide workforce of 3,300, of course, inevitably, by the time that I get here to speak, the number's gone down more. It is about 3,100, worldwide employees, about 2,100 special agents. We're excited that this year we're going to bring on about 300 new special agents, which is, for a workforce of about 2,200 special agents, that's a significant number. And just to put that in context, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've lost about 700 special agents to mandatory and voluntary retirement and only hired about 200. So an influx of 300 new special agents is very significant. So I'm going to start with just a quick kind of background of IRS criminal investigation. I've learned from experience, whatever group that I'm speaking with, there's a fair amount of people that understand what we do, but there's also a lot that don't fully understand the role that IRS criminal investigation plays. So we are the only agency in the federal government that devotes 100% of our resources to investigating financial crimes. And we're the only agency that has jurisdiction over tax crimes. And I like to say that in the federal law enforcement community, we have one of the broadest jurisdictions because of that very fact, the ability to investigate and recommend prosecution of federal tax crimes. But we have a very broad jurisdiction, and we play a critical role with our law enforcement partners. We work every day with our sister law enforcement agencies from FBI, HSI, DEA, you name it, every agency. And every case that we work is ultimately referred to the Department of Justice, so a very close relationship with them as well. We've been a law enforcement agency. Next year will be 100 years, believe it or not. We've been around for a long time, and still, despite the resource cuts, about the 6th largest federal agency. We don't do audits. We strictly are a criminal investigative body, and again, sometimes people get confused with that. You hear about the IRS, you think it's only a civil agency, but the work that we do is only in the criminal area. So the area that, in talking about jurisdiction, where we really play a role in the broader law enforcement community, 2 great examples, and one that I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a few minutes, in the cyber area. There's a lot of resources being invested in the federal government to identify who the hackers are, which countries the hackers are residing in, but there's not as much resource allocation to the finances. And again, that's what we do. That's all we do is follow the money, and we've had incredible success in this area working with our federal agency partners. And the other area, little known fact, in the counterterrorism area. Again, a lot of great work being done by a lot of agencies in this area. What we bring to the table is the financial expertise. We're involved in every joint terrorism task force, and anytime there's an incident We have a jump team that's on the ground picking through literally every single financial record and working with our counterparts to help solve these heinous crimes. We are also one of the largest users of the BSA data. And I'll thank you all, that are out there in the audience several times when I'm speaking. You don't know and you can't appreciate how valuable this data is for us. Again, as an agency that devotes all of our resources to financial crimes, it's critical and it's used in every single case that we investigate in IRS criminal investigation. And every year we literally open up hundreds of cases based on the BSA data. So I think everybody in this room is in some way connected to the fight against financial crimes. So what's the status of white-collar crime in the United States? And there's really some sobering facts. The United States is on track to record the fewest prosecutions of white-collar and public corruption crimes on record in recent history. And all white-collar crimes are down significantly, particularly in the tax crime area, and that's for obvious reasons. When we were at our height about 20 years ago, we had about 3,300 special agents. Now we're down to about 21, so that's some obvious declines there. But what's going on? The white-collar crime is not going down. We all know that in this room. It's proliferating, and it's proliferated in the age of the internet, beneficial ownership, cyber crimes, cryptocurrencies. There's new challenges put in the way of investigators literally every day. And we're living in, very interesting and challenging times as a financial crimes investigative agency. And I already referred to some of those challenges, but cyber crimes, cryptocurrency, that lack of regulation and transparency in that space is obviously a challenge. There's barriers to cooperation. Much of the work that we do involves international work. 10 years ago that wasn't as much the case, but now it's almost a rarity to find a case that does not have some sort of international component to that. And there's barriers, again, to cooperation. There's privacy concerns. There's different priorities in different countries, so that's an obstacle. There's also challenges within the U.S. federal system. There's many, many agencies. There's many priorities, competing priorities. I think we do pretty well in this area, cooperating with each other, but there's always room for improvement there. And I think in many regards, and I heard this with several of the speakers this morning with the awards, we haven't always embraced the collaboration with our private partners, and it's something, again, I'm going to talk about in a minute. And you take all those challenges, they're really conspiring against us in our fight against financial fraud. And we all share common goals, regardless of your position. We're trying to root out the financial crime and its, corrosive, what it does to the financial system and really protect the financial system. So I've limited time, so I want to talk about just a couple of topics. The first is virtual currency, cryptocurrency. And looking at the agenda, it appears in many places. I had an opportunity to sit in on one of the panels yesterday. Very interesting. And I think that the threat in the Money Laundering Bank Secrecy Act area is pretty well known. Significant high-profile cases that the U.S. government has brought against Silk Road, Alphabet, BTCE. Those are well known, the dark web marketplaces. IRS special agents were involved in every single one of those cases, again, playing a critical role in unraveling the financial crimes. But what's not as well known, and I really see as an evolving, and sometimes referred to as an evolved trend, is the use of these cryptocurrencies in more traditional white-collar crimes. And I'm talking about using cryptocurrencies to perpetrate tax evasion and other white-collar crimes. We're already seeing this, and we're focusing on it. And an interesting, there's many IRS special agents that are really the experts in the world in solving these cryptocurrency crimes. And ironically, that's because of the years and years we spent combating identity theft. Seeing that crime more from a street-level crime into a really sophisticated cyber crime has given our agents an edge in this area. And that's why we're so actively involved in this area.